episode is brought to you by GameFound. Create a free pledge manager for your project.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Tom Vassell.
I'm Z Garcia. Hello.
I'm Mike Delisio.
And welcome to Crowdsurfing. Hey, what's a good way to start crowdsurfing? That would be with a contest.
Yes.
So we have a contest for a game. It's actually not a new game. It's a reprint of an older game called Vault Wars, where you're fighting over vaults. It's kind of like if you imagine, what's that show called where they all go and open up?
Storage Wars, or
Storage
the one
Wars,
where they
yeah.
bid on the, yeah.
Yeah, it's a little bit like that, except that it's in a fantasy world. And what they're doing here is redoing the whole thing. And in fact, they said that they've addressed the one nitpick I had with the game, which was I said that it had a lot of vaults, but they all had special abilities. And I wouldn't mind if there was occasionally vaults that didn't have special abilities and you were just bidding on a value of a vault. And so they fixed that, they said. And now they also offer a boon to the second place bidder by giving that person relics and things like that. Anyway, you can go check out the game itself. And we have a contest for people in North America to get we have 5 different copies of this. You get the Relic Road Show Pledge. And all you have to do is email us at contest@dicetower.com. In the subject line, put the word vault. And in the body, answer this question. They're giving away something special each day of the campaign. 2 backers are going to get a reward added to their pledge. What is that reward? Answer that, put your address, and you could win. We'll announce the winners on our website at dicetower.com/contests.
Excellent. I remember, I did not realize this was back, and I remember thinking Vault Wars was a really good game. I'm glad to hear this is coming back.
Yeah, I think
agree.
I played it on your recommendation, Z, I think, at the time. So, yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's good.
So it's good to see that one coming back. And that is how we're starting the show like that with a contest.
Let's go.
Now it's time to delve into Kickstarters. So let's get started.
Aha.
So, as always, folks, we look at Kickstarters that are ending somewhere in the next 8 days or so, because ones that are ending later than that, we'll look at next week. And we look at things that are of interest to me, and then I pass them on to Z and Mike. So if there's ever a game missing, my fault. If there's ever a thing you think shouldn't be on here, my fault. Well, technically, it's Z and Mike's fault, because I like to see them squirm. But this first project here doesn't make anybody squirm, because we've known about this for a long time. And Dan and Cora have been part of the Dice Tower for years now on Board Game Breakfast. And when did the CoraQuest come in? It was like 6 months ago or a year ago?
It was basically, this whole thing started as part of homeschooling during the quarantine.
Right.
Dan wanted Cora to have some different ways to kind of learn about language art and math and probabilities, and he thought it'd be fun that they put a board game together, and so they just did it. There talks about it right there, the origins. It was just a homeschool, being at home during the quarantine project, and by the time they got done, they thought, hey, we kind of think we have something here, and through a lot of play testing and iteration, now we're to a complete, real project here.
There's so many fascinating things about this to me. And folks, we realize, okay, obviously we're all biased. We all like Dan. Despite Dan.
Let's not go that far. Let's stay focused on the project, okay?
Let me
We all like
rephrase
Cora.
that. We all like Cora.
Correct. We tolerate Dan.
But this isn't some like, oh, I know the guy, so we'll give him a free pass. I'm really fascinated. Some of the stuff I love that they're doing here, they're having kids do artwork and then having a professional draw them so that it works into the project, but it still maintains what the kids did.
Yeah.
It's
just kind of cleans it up a little bit, colors it in, but all of this is artwork that's been either Cora did herself or artwork that's been sent in from kids all over the world. And I'm with you, Tom. I think, that's just such a fantastic idea. I also love that this is a game that has so much customization potential, because you can they've got a free web app where you can create your own characters. If you have your kids at home that want to draw their own heroes or villains, they can upload those to the web app and print that out. So it's a pretty special project, I think.
Yeah, and it also looks like it's a simple dungeon crawl, of which you've noticed we've been complaining that these don't almost exist at this point in time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, really.
Yeah,
it's
there's
cute.
and that determined thing that you just went past there, that's one of my favorite aspects of the game because, it's a cooperative game, but if you've got, well, not just kids, I can speak for myself. Go back and watch me trying to play Jaws of the Lion. If you miss in this game, if you roll all the dice and you don't get any hits, you flip your character over to the determined side, and that gives them an extra die that they can use in their next turn. So it's cool. Even if you roll blanks, you get determined, and you have a better chance of hitting on the next one. That's a neat little kind of mechanic there, I think.
Yeah, that's also, yeah, man. So yeah, this is really cool, and it's doing really well considering it's his first project and everything like that. So we were all talking about how well we thought it would do. We all had high hopes for it. We didn't expect it would do this well.
Oh, this is a phenomenon, yeah.
All right, just keep that happy thoughts in your head here, folks, as we continue to go through the rest of the Kickstarters today. All right, well, let's jump to gaming tables. So here we have the Origins gaming table, which, by the way, it's really bad marketing, in my opinion.
This is a table sponsored by the Origins game show, right?
Correct.
It doesn't have anything to do with Origins, like the gaming convention?
I don't think so.
You would be correct. It's just bad naming. Let's keep going.
Oh, because you scared me for a second, because I thought it didn't have anything to do with Origins, and I missed that.
Just proving my point that it's bad naming.
Yeah, it's really weird, because it didn't help that for several years, Origins had a Geek Chic at their convention with a special room you could go into. And so I would, this is the table I saw at Origins. I mean, now, despite the name, the table itself looks fine. This is obviously a very crowded market at this point. Yes. This table looks very similar to the Rathscour's tables that we have, don't you think?
Yes. In fact, before I looked at who made it, I was like, oh, isn't this... I guess they're opening up for more pledges to a previous project. It's not. This table just looks... I'm sorry. It looks really derivative. I just think and I get it. It's a table. What else are they going to do? I just feel like I've already seen this table.
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys get that feeling? I was like, wait.
Sure. Yeah.
Haven't we covered this? Haven't I seen this?
I was looking for the hook, right? I don't see the hook. It's, price wise, it seems to be, it's like if you want to get the topper on there, you're looking at least $2,000. So it's not like it's cheaper than other tables. The woods that they're offering don't seem to be, different. I guess you can customize some of the graphics, but I think other tables do that as well. I don't know what the hook is.
Well, I'll tell you what the hook is. Okay, so this table's two things. One, the company that's making this table here, Game Theory, is a division of Panda.
Gotcha.
So we actually talked about this earlier. You probably forgot about it. So that's one of the things.
Yeah.
The second thing is, if you look at the delivery dates here, it's August. That's pretty impressive.
Okay.
That means the tables are being built now. You're picking a table. You're getting it. They're drop shipping these tables. That beats out a lot of other table companies. This is something you can get now. By the way, I also pause here on these tiered trays, which I tend to like these. I don't know why.
Nope.
Yeah, they're all right, I guess. But yeah, that is a big difference because oftentimes you're waiting over a year to get your table. So
right, and that's the thing. I think that's what I was going to get to if we got around to it. Was that the one thing that I can see making this different is that that guy who we just saw there, he works and this company is associated with the BBO poker table, so they're used to making tables, to delivering tables. They've been poker tables in the past, but the video where he, spoke about the pipeline of not just making the table, but getting it to you, I liked that. So that's the one thing I would say. Yeah, the table doesn't look necessarily, unique, but if they've got a good pipeline to get this thing built, send to me, no damage along the way, and I get it quickly, then yeah.
So also, I I saw this table at Gen Con back in the before times, and it looks good. I met this team, the team making the tables. They're very nice people and everything. And Panda stands on its quality, and also these BBO poker tables they're known for the poker tables. So it's a good pedigree. So I think that's it. Pedigree, quality, and speed is the thing that makes it different. But the table itself does look very similar to other tables. But then again, why mess with something that's a good thing?
Pedigree, quality, and speed. I like it. That's the name of my new company, PQS.
PQS. There you go. PQS.
All right. Let's now go to Zodiac War, an astrology and tarot themed board game trying to go for best of Z games, I suppose.
No, I think that you're hunting down the Zodiac Killer, I believe is what it is.
I don't think that's what it is. See,
that's a very different. No,
that might have been interesting.
This year you get a Zodiac sign, and then there's a rotating board, and you have creatures that escape from Majik the Gathering, and are fighting each other. But there's not a ton of. They spend more time telling you about stretch goals and art.
Yeah.
Than they do about the game.
And it looks good like art.
Really, it definitely and it is consistent with the kind of the tarot decks that you might see. So the art is impressive. But yeah, the game really, to me, from what I can tell, looks to be just you're trying to line up either the signs with planets and elements to get them, to get points that way. I'm assuming you're using these cards to manipulate the board and things along those lines. We've seen a few of these actually where they're either just taking a tarot deck or something that is based off of that and trying to build a game around it. There must be some type of a market out there for it.
People love tarots. You do?
Isn't it tarot?
Tarot. I've heard both.
Okay, this game.
It's not tarot. I know that. I think that's the first thing you said.
I say tarot.
Moving on. Now we're going to something I like.
Majik
Dice.
Wouldn't you like to know that
folks. If you like dice, this is the week for you.
This is your only opportunity to look at dice this week. Oh, no, wait. Just kidding.
These have those square sides. I don't like those. They're too sharp. They hurt when you pick them up and hold them.
I like how the font is either square or roundish.
Yeah,
not square or round. Roundish. It's not round. It's roundish.
I wrote these off when I saw the font usage at the top because I thought the dice looked good, but I hated that font. It looks sci-fi-ish, right? It looks like a digital clock. That's what that font looks like. But then when I finally got to that spot where they were talking about the roundish font, I was a little more interested again. And then I don't mind the sharp edges on dice as long as they're not D4s or D6s. More faces than that.
D4 shouldn't exist anyway.
Why should a D4 not exist?
Because you just use put 1 through 4 on a 12-sided die 3 times.
Well, you could do that with a lot of things, Tom. Come on.
Oh, no. Technically, you can only do that with 2 things, a D4 and a D6, or a D3 if such a thing existed.
We have D3s.
Let's move on.
They exist. I don't know why they're never included, but they exist.
The Pratzen, I can't even pronounce this, Austerlitz 1805 is a war game from Canvas Temple Publishing.
Let's move on.
Is this not a reprint of an older game?
Is it? I don't remember.
I thought I read that.
Look at this
I don't know anything about this.
That is a big map, man.
That is a big map. I don't like that card. I wish they had, the way they put a solid-ish background behind the title. I wish they'd do that behind the text box. You're gonna get a little.
You know what that card reminds me of? You remember the Tempest series from AEG?
Yes.
That looks exactly like those.
Making me think of something. You're right.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Better steel.
Yep.
All righty. Anyway, it's a war game. It's a heavier war game as far as I can tell. and they're gonna have they haven't made mounted maps yet, but if you like this sort of thing, you like it, So this one's doing pretty well actually. How many people have backed it? 280. That's pretty good for a war game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's not bad. That's not bad at all. Yeah.
Right.
It's a big one.
All right. So here we have relaunch. I still don't understand why they need to put the word relaunch in the title.
Well, this one had a specific story behind it. It had to be postponed because of a tragedy, unfortunately, which they explain here at the beginning. So,
right. So then this person passed away and was one of the artists of it. Right. I understand that. I just thought it was odd that you
put it in the title.
Well, you can't call it the exact same thing and Kickstarter it again, right, Tom?
I think so. There's some rule about that.
Yeah.
So these playing
here. Go ahead, son.
I know Z always tells me my opinions on playing cards are wrong, but I like these.
I'm with you, Tom. I don't know how functional they are, but as an artistic kind of thing, I really like them. I love the like the ace cards with the huge kind of stylized pip there. I think it looks great, but it's very, very stylized. So I think this is going to be one of those type of, what's the term, like a Marmite thing. Either people are going to love it or hate it. I really like the look of this. I don't know how functional it would be from a usability point.
I think it's pretty good. It's a pretty good deck. I like the look of it.
I think the red and white is not so distinct.
Yeah, right. That's one of my main issues is I don't like their color usage between basically coral would be the black suits. I'm sorry, but white is the black suits. And then the red suits is coral. They're close. They're a little too close. Yeah. And then they're also getting kind of cutesy and creative with the pips in the corners. Like one, they're like floating away, or like an octopus has, its tentacle wrapped around something and has pulled it away from the corner. So if you're like that cue, the queen there, Queen of Hearts.
Mm-hmm. It's in her hat.
It's floated to her hat, or it's in her hat, which means if I just peek at the corners, I don't know it's the Queen of Hearts. Does that make sense? It's a little problematic. Yeah. But this is not for playing. A lot of these decks of cards at the end of the day are not for playing. They are meant for cardistry, flourishes, that sort of thing. So from that point of view, these are good. I like the style a lot. I like the color palette, except for the suits, a lot. Yeah, and you're right, Mike. One of my favorite things in decks of cards, large ace for all the suits, not just spades. I'm a big fan of that.
All right.
Is cardistry a term, Z? Or did you make that up?
No, that's a real thing.
Hadn't heard of it. Okay.
All right. Metal Heart Unicorn Dice with rainbows and dreamy clouds. The title here.
It sounds like a breakfast cereal is what it sounds like.
Actually, no, it sounds like
a breakfast
cereal. Seventh graders put this together because, like, what was your project? Metal Heart Unicorn Dice with rainbows and dreamy clouds. That's what that sounds like.
Needs whipped cream and sprinkles. The only thing it's missing.
Now, I don't know what this metal is. This is the same kind of metal they used in Atlantis Rising on those metal bars.
Yeah,
I like it. Although these black ones are way better. They're easier to read.
From a visibility standpoint, they are, sure, yeah.
Visibility matters with dice.
No, I agree. I'm just saying I still don't like the graphic design of them. This is another one I think that there are people that are going to absolutely flip over this. And then there's going to be people like me that find it off-putting.
Really?
Right, exactly.
Does the color do anything for you? Or you just hate unicorns?
No.
You hate love.
And I don't even care about the unicorn things. I mean, that's great. Cutesy unicorns, I've got no problem with that. It's just these dice to me look cheap. I don't know how to put it other than that. They look cheap to me.
I agree with that. I'm sorry. I don't. Yeah, and it's not the unicorn thing, right? It's not the colors thing, but those dice right there that you're looking at, dark rainbow unicorn, look like they should be hanging from cheap earrings at like Claire's. Okay, that's what they look like.
Yeah,
they look cheap. It's unfortunate, but they do. Maybe they're fantastic quality.
Mm-hmm.
They just don't look it.
Right.
All right. More dice.
Really? Who'd have thunk it?
Handcrafted Ancient Myth
This is it.
TRPG
So this is the final
collection.
dice thing, right?
I think it is. I don't remember. These look actually very similar to some dice we looked at last week or the week before.
Sure, why
It
not?
all
By the way,
blurs together, Tom.
I love these dice towers, by the way, with the clear steps and stuff. I really like those.
Yeah, but that's kind of I've seen those around. Like you can make those yourself out of like plastic bottles. So that kind of design has been around. I'm a little confused over the pledge levels. Was it just me, or does this look like really convoluted to you?
My word. They stuck all this stuff in the pledge module itself.
Yeah, I didn't think that was a good idea, because I looked at that and I'm like, I have to really want these dice.
Why
Because
would you
that,
put
to me,
add-ons in the pledge level? That's weird.
Yeah, I don't think that, just from a personal standpoint as a consumer.
It don't
of
matter. These
Kickstarter.
dice are terrible. You can't
Yeah.
read them.
Oh,
Yeah.
These are okay, but even these aren't that great.
No, they're not. Those are hard to read. Those
These
are
are
possible.
This is too much, and that's a cool background. I like that.
Beautiful mind.
Yeah. I like the dice
This isn't
towers.
doing it for me.
I like the dice
towers
going.
are
I like the dice going up the dice tower.
Of all the dice we've seen, the first ones we saw with the sharp edges and the roundish font are still my favorites.
Alrighty.
Pick of the week for Z.
Let's take a break here,
Probably.
folks, from dice and from games. We'll jump to our contributors, and we'll be right back.
Hey, board gamers, BJ from Board Game Gumbo here, back with another inside look at a Kickstarter project. This time I'm taking a look at Galactic Raptors, Kingdoms of the Deep. Let's take a look at what's inside the box. Kingdoms of the Deep is a brand new game from Galactic Raptor that's coming out on Kickstarter. It's designed by Ian Zhang and plays up to 6 players, and is another one of those one-hour wonders that we like so much on the Gumbo. Maybe you've played Animal Kingdoms from designer Stephen Aramini before? If you did, you're going to recognize this beautiful artwork from Katie Grierson, because the color literally pops off even with these prototype components. I was fortunate enough to play a copy from Carla Kopp, and I'm impressed with the design. It kind of calls to my mind, at least in my mind, a nautical version of Broom Service in the way that players can choose whatever action they want to play from the action cards in their hand, but they will get a nice bonus if they're the only one that plays that card that round. In Kingdoms of the Deep, the underwater creatures are in turmoil. The 5 kingdoms are battling back and forth, and if you're going to be one of the undersea rulers, you're going to have to call up as much influence over the different areas of the ocean as you can. In each round, players are going to compete to control the underwater factions that are set up. It's going to be a unique tile placement at the start of every game. Those tiles will be placed differently, so the board always looks a little bit different each time you set it up. I like how Ian Zhang came up with a twist on 2 mechanics too. How to get players' cards back in their hands, and how to move the game toward the end quickly but with purpose. Whenever any player plays the reset card, not only does it give you bonuses, but it also advances the tracker forward. Getting to the end of the track triggers the in-game scoring, but along the way, there are cool bonuses and scoring to be done too, keeping you involved as you go along. It's a neat way to give some agency to the players for controlling the tempo of the game, but inevitably the game is going to move on as players run out of cards. Now, note that I've played the game with prototype components. The final artwork will be revealed during the Kickstarter campaign. So that's Kingdoms of the Deep, coming out soon on Kickstarter from Galactic Raptor Games and designer Ian Zhang. You got any questions? Leave a question or comment in the comments below. And until next time, laissez les bon temps rouler.
Hey folks, welcome back to our Dice Tower preview recap. I'm Mark, and today we're going back to Mars, and we're going to be exploring a derelict space station. All right, let's jump in. First up, let's take a look at Terraforming Mars, the Ares Expedition. So, if you like Terraforming Mars, the big box game, a lot of this is going to be very similar to you. You're doing very similar things, but what they've done here is streamline the game, and it's very much more card-driven. And not only that, but the artwork and everything, the cards are just fantastic. I love how this game looks, the presentation, and how quick it plays. And then we have Silicon Saga, the Wreck of the Andromeda. Now this is kind of a dungeon crawl type game where you're exploring this derelict spacecraft, revealing tiles as you move around, and you try to find Silicon and get back to the hangar and escape before the threat level reaches its maximum. Lots of interesting things going on here, and you will encounter survivors and other aliens along the way. All right, so my pick of the week. You know, I really like the theme of Silicon Saga and how it plays, some story-driven aspects there as well. But I absolutely love what they've done with Ares Expedition, giving you that terraforming Mars feel, and how they streamlined it, and the table presence, the cards are beautiful, so improved. I just found it to be super engaging, and I love its streamlined gameplay and how quick you can move through the rounds. So if you like Terraforming Mars, this is definitely one to check out. Alright folks, if any of these games look like they might be of interest to you, please go check out our full previews. And if you want your game featured as a Dice Tower preview, please shoot me an email. Alright folks, until next time, we'll see you at the table.
Hey folks, and welcome to FOMO. Well, kind of FOMO Rewind a little too. So normally on FOMO, we take a look at a game that's seeking crowdfunding, and for FOMO Rewind, we take a look at games that have crowdfunded. This is one that already has crowdfunded, but I've not looked at it before, and their pledge manager is currently just opening up. This is a game that reached out to me and said, hey, you want to take a look at this? Because it's pretty well known that my favorite role-playing game of all time is Vampire the Masquerade. So obviously I said yes. And so they sent me this big box, Vampire the Masquerade Chapters. Now, this is campaign 1, and I'm hoping there's going to be more. This is Vampire the Masquerade in a board game format, but it feels like playing the role-playing game. I was a little nervous at first because Vampire the Masquerade for me was really all more, unlike D&D, it was more about the LARPing aspect. And I'm happy to say that while this is more D&D-esque in that feel, these books really take on the role of that role-playing. They really take on the role of a GM. This game can play one player truly. It can play a full group. I love that you can make your own characters. I love these dice. I love these miniatures. I just love it. Now, I will say this thing did the one thing that I've never had happen on FOMO. I was angry. I was upset. I was mad. And that was because after I played Scenario 1, my rulebook had no more scenarios, and I really, really wanted to just keep playing this game. So if you're a fan of Vampire the Masquerade, go, and you haven't backed it, go check out the Pledge Manager. They're taking light pledges. I will say this isn't a family-friendly game, so if you're looking for that, this is not it. There is some strong language in this game. But overall, this faithfully recreates all of my memories of playing the Vampire Masquerade RPG, and I highly recommend it. I just adored this. So go check it out. And I'll see you folks next episode.
All right, we're back. I want to do a quick thank out to Cameron for sending money for pizza for Z, since he said he missed the last lunch he bought for us, which is true. And
I got money for pizza waiting for me right
no,
there?
you're getting the pizza. I'll get it for you Friday. And Rob donated for Get Mike a Hat Fund.
I'm hat. You're right. I am hatless, aren't I?
Well, he has, very luscious hair. Mike does, so he doesn't have anything to hide.
Let's get back to Kickstarter.
Lustrous, but luscious is good too. I'll take luscious.
Hair products first. Kingsfall, Guilds of Cendrenil. Now, this one I almost didn't put on the list because it doesn't look like it's gonna fund at this point. It also, this is the very definition. I feel bad. It's just the very definition of generic.
Well, it starts with the name.
Generic. The name is generic. The meeples are generic. The pieces are generic. I want this to do well.
It's been a while since I've said this about a project, I think. But this one, to me, the thing that it screams at me is you shouldn't have kickstarted this yourself.
Right.
Go find a developer.
Yes.
Go find a publisher who will pick this up, develop it. Like the reason this is getting very little traction is not just that it seems generic. It also does not look ready to launch on Kickstarter.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? The look is not going to sell anybody. And a big part of selling people on a game that they cannot play is the look. You're not ready for the step yet. This needs, if it's any good, some company will pick it up, they will develop it, they will change the name, they will make it look good, and then they can kickstart it.
Right.
You shouldn't have done this yourself. You know what I mean? That's my. I'm sorry, but that's how I feel.
I don't know that it's a bad game. It just looks. I don't know. It looks like a fake game made for a TV show. If they wanted to show a game without paying anybody money.
Yeah, I totally understand what you're saying. Yeah.
Kinda. Yeah.
All right. Now, this one is not doing as well as I thought it would, because I know Posthuman Saga has a decent amount of backers. I mean, of people who like it. But then when I looked at, while the money amount isn't huge, the number of backers is quite good. That's 1,100 backers.
Yeah. I'm assuming a lot of people are just getting the expansion is what it is.
Right.
Sure. Right. So you can buy Posthuman Saga. I have not played. I think Z did, right?
I have it now. I have not played. Mike poked at it for a while.
Yeah.
And now I'm poking at it for a while.
Yeah. I played through a couple of rounds. I played the original Posthuman, and I think you did too, Z.
I did, yeah.
And then Posthuman Saga was kind of like an iteration of that, where they were maybe ramping up the story elements a bit more. This is one where, you know, I think I'm like Z on this. I really like the theme. I like the post-apocalyptic theme. I like the ideas of what it's trying to do. I do wonder if it's maybe a little too convoluted for my taste, just speaking for myself. But I don't know. I want to play it. I just have to kind of have the mental bandwidth to internalize the rules, because the biggest issue I had with it, Z, I don't know if you've played around with it enough yet, is the combat. It's a pretty involved system, and that's the part that I haven't really wrapped my mind around yet. So
there's a lot going on for sure, and then they also have the maps being separated from each other is also a new thing for this one. So it's like, you know, I feel like I'm doing my own thing in my own corner over here.
Right.
I agree. It's just a lot, and the bandwidth, like I said, bandwidth is what you need to get into this. But hey,
I will tell you,
enough people like it that the expansion is doing well.
Yep.
And I'm glad they're still supporting it.
And I'll tell you, a lot of my favorite games that are on my top 100, come from Mighty Boards. So I mean, I like Vengeance a lot. I like Petrichor a lot. I recently, I had backed Excavation Earth, and good first impressions on that game. So, you know, it just might be that this is one that I'd have to take the time to, you know, get that learning curve taken care of. I do like the theme, and I like the look of it. So
yeah.
All right, DEFCON 1. This is a 2-5 asymmetrical board game about the Cold War, which is doing pretty well, actually, for a theme that doesn't have a lot of things made about it. And when I saw this picture that we're looking at right now, I was really kind of into it. I don't know if it's nostalgia. Yeah, I don't know what it is.
Really?
It's bringing back like Axis and Allies of the future, or well, not the future, but of the future for when I was a kid.
I agree with that, Mike. You don't feel that way? That map's a good-looking map.
No, see, this does not do a lot for me right here. Maybe it's not the map as much; it's the player boards.
Okay.
Well, let's see if we can slide down and see if they show them in a little bit. There we go. Yeah, that definitely has a war game look to it, right?
Yeah.
I'm not going to argue that, but I might play this.
Here's my biggest issue with it, Tom. Scroll up a little bit, because it's a different game depending on how many people are playing. If it's a 2-player game, then they say it's like a chess-like, you know, it's right here. 2 players, classical East versus West chess-like game. 3 players, now it's a death circle game. Not sure what that means.
That's a new category.
4 players.
The death circle games.
Right. 4. I guess you have to do the trench run to play that game. Then 4 players is a semi-co-op, so Tom's only going to play it at 4. Then if it's 5 players, now it's a secret objective game. I just don't know how that works. That's my biggest concern about this.
You're right. Well, you know what? I haven't clicked on this. Let's see what else these folks have done.
Well, they're the ones who invented Death Circle, and they have a game about it.
That's our top 10 death. So they've worked apparently with Well, no, they didn't do Feet. They must have worked with
Okay.
Academy Games, because they also apparently did Freedom here in
Right.
France.
Yeah. Got it.
So
Okay.
if they're working with Academy Games, it looks like that's the kind of thing they've been doing. I don't know. I'm not. I don't know. This thing again. For some reason, the Cold War, maybe because I grew up and it was like something people talked about all the time. It really is
I have no issue with it. Yeah, no problem with the theme, and honestly, the map looked fine. I don't love the player things, and like I said, the different game depending on player count worries me a lot.
That seems a little weird, but there are what, one or two other war games this week that we looked at, and maybe one more we have yet to look at, and this looks stronger than those. Okay,
fair enough.
All righty. Our next Death Circle game is Mob Big Apple.
It kind of is a Death Circle game, Tom.
A gorgeous portrayal. I hate when people use adjectives on their own things. Anyway, so this is another mobster game, which is not
Steve Finn game. That's why I'm paying attention to it. I do like.
Well, this is from TGG Games. This is their first Kickstarter. TGG Games is the publishing arm of the Gaming Goat. I like the look and layout of this board. It's giving me a little bit of Las Vegas, the feel, with the different numbers on the different boards. It does not look like a complex game at all.
I mean, this is a reworking of another Steve Finn game. I don't know if you guys knew that. This is
Oh, it is. I did not know that. Do you know which game offhand?
Yeah, it's Capo de Capi.
Oh, it's a Oh, okay.
Well, I've not played that one.
You haven't? I thought you had.
Well, now I'm wondering if I have. How do you spell it? Capo de Capi?
C-A-P-O.
Capo de Capi.
If it's Italian, it's probably D-I. Capo
D-E-D-E-I.
I found
it. Is? What'd you rate it, Tom?
No, I've not played it. Ryan Metzler reviewed it for the Dice Tower. Back in the
I used to own this. I think I used to own it. Yeah, and I rated it a 6.
Okay.
It's fine. I mean, the new one looks way better produced than the previous one.
I'm telling you, this one is attracting me, man.
I love the poker chips, man. You put a poker chip in a game, I'm going to be more interested.
It's a 2-player tug-of-war style game with, placing. I don't know if there's dice in this one still or not. I think there are. You're taking actions, pulling. It's one of those death circle kind of games. You're pulling towards your side. It looks very good. Again, like I said, it takes Capo de Capi and reworks it a little bit, but the design is. I mean, the look of it graphically is excellent.
It's a good looking page too. I have to say, it's a good looking Kickstarter page for their first one.
Agreed.
All right, one of the biggest, if not the biggest Kickstarter of the week, Human Punishment: The Beginning. So Human Punishment was one of those games that I remember when I got it the first time, I was like, meh. The box didn't impress me. The name didn't sound interesting. Like, why do I want to play a game called Human Punishment? But I've been told consistently that I need to play it, that it is a good social deduction style game, but this looks like a very different game in that same universe. Cyberpunk, which is, I believe, something Z likes.
Yeah.
It has colors and dice. Now, this looks...
It has colors, yeah.
Shut up.
I like colors.
No.
Here's the thing that worries me for Z is that I believe it goes up to 3 hours. So I think it sounds to me what they're trying to do is kind of get in on that Battlestar Galactica thing where it's this really long kind of social deduction type of thing going on.
I hate being mischaracterized like this. I'll take it from people who watch a show, but from my coworkers, I will not stand for this, slander. Really, is what it is.
Fair,
but it's too long. I mean, I'm not playing this. It's crazy. 3 hours? Are you insane? No.
Hey, I like these little hollow cubes. It looks almost like a little too much for me. I'm willing to be proven wrong. It's certainly something I'll look at when it comes out, and I still do want to get around to playing Human Punishment. These units here are giving me a strong Hiroshima Hex feel to them.
Yeah. I got a strong what's that game called? The The resistance. I got a strong the resistance vibe from this, but then it just kept going and going, and there was more and more. I was like, okay, well, wow.
I would argue very strongly that if you're going to brag about custom dice, they shouldn't look like normal dice.
Those look pretty normal to me.
Don't they? They're like,
I
buy custom dice, and they show them crossing off dice with pips on them, and instead these have numbers on them. It's like that's.
Well, this has a roundish font though, Tom. It is a very roundish font.
Oh, all right. Well, let's hope this one's good.
It looks good, right? I mean, we're talking about how we think it's maybe too long, or maybe the style of game has been done to death. But looking at this on its own in a bubble, this is a good-looking project. Good look, good style. Might be a fantastic game. We don't know, right?
Making a lot of money. A lot of people are into it.
Right.
It's more dice.
That's it.
Now look,
this
dice
making a lot of money.
$34,000. These are sea glass dice, and if you notice, they're on the beach.
These are the really expensive really expensive ones, I think, right? They're like $70 or something.
To get a full set, one set is $65, and that doesn't include shipping.
Whew.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't get it. What do these do? Like heal you when you roll them? I mean, they look fine.
They're made from sea glass, Tom. You know how hard it is to find sea glass? You have to go walking on the beach barefoot until you discover some.
Step on it. Mm-hmm.
And then you shape it.
I will say that taking pictures of these dice in sand is a good marketing move.
I'll tell you what's even better is the video where they're in the sand and the water washes over them. That is actually pretty slick. I like that.
Yes.
Not $70. I don't like it $70 worth, but I like it about 70 cents worth.
Okay, but
I like frosted dice. I do like frosted dice. I like those red ones, the coral, quite a bit. My worry here is nothing we've actually talked about in any of these. I think these are some of the best looking dice. I like the font. I like it all. They don't look engraved enough. Those numbers look like they are printed, if not right on the surface, then almost. I'm a little worried about that.
Yeah.
I kept looking at closer images and everything, and I was like, I don't know. You know what I mean?
Though, they look very, very shallow.
Yeah, but these people went to the beach and took
Isn't this
pictures.
the one where the water was going over them? I must be losing my mind.
At one point, that did happen, yes. That did happen.
Good. I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, it's right here.
We go. Look at that.
Oh, yeah. Baby. What did you roll? Hold on. I got to wait for the tides
to go up.
Let me remove this kelp to tell you how I did.
All right. Moving on here. Let's see here. We got Cryptid Café, which incidentally has nothing to do with the game called Cryptid.
Right.
So this cryptid is the word cryptid is basically is like a short for all those jackalope and Sasquatch, right? Creatures that are like folklore.
Yeah, correct.
Okay,
so I gotta tell you, I really like the look of this.
Okay, I was just about to say
I really do.
Thing.
It's not. I don't know that it's a game that I would be playing a lot. But I really like the look of it. I like the graphic design. I like the shape of the meeples. I like.
If I didn't tell you what company made this, who would you think made it?
Kids Table Board Games, of course.
Yes, it looks exactly like one of their games.
It looks like one of their early games, right? It looks like Haunt the House.
Yes.
I mean, if you did not say anything, I'd just assume that it's from them.
Yeah.
It's a good look.
Even the font.
Yes.
The font.
Art. The font is very similar.
I mean, they are going to get sued shortly. That's what we're saying.
I like the little meeples too, though.
I do too. I really do.
Sasquatch serving food.
Great.
Where's Chupacabra? Is he in the game?
That's what I'm missing. Chupacabra.
Survive the night.
Right.
The night.
Anyhow,
these are cute. These are cute. Oh, and the printed ones are very nice. Look at that.
Man.
Spot UV in the box. Come on. We got to get some Spot UV in the box. So
this is nice. I mean, it's like I don't think it's much of a game.
Right.
I think it's a very light game, very silly, but yeah, it's cute.
Yep.
Harry's Place was the last one, although it was closed for remodeling.
I wonder if they redid it to this one.
Take a look.
Well, you're right. Wait, this is called investigative. Ooh, yeah,
I
this
think
is
it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
interesting. Yep.
This didn't look bad, but the new version does look better.
Yeah, it does.
Interesting. Oh man, I feel bad for Harry. They were like, your place is not selling, buddy.
Wasn't that from like Harry and the Hendersons?
I was going to say that's probably, yeah.
Oh, you think maybe
gonna
that's
use
what
that
it
reference.
was?
I don't know. His
Yeah,
name's
maybe.
Harry. All right, we talked about this in the news on Board Game Geek a while back. Core Worlds, Empires, and Nemesis. So Andrew Parks is the designer of Core Worlds, a deck building game. One of the first deck building games. It was published by Stronghold Games. Andrew Parks got the rights back, and now these are new games in that universe, which, as looks like, just passed its goal, like 60,500. I mean, that must have just happened.
Yeah.
So Andrew Parks, Quixotic Games, which I still think is a bad name for a board game company or any publishing house, that matter. But, like tilting at windmills. Anyway, Andy Parks is an interesting designer because he's done a lot of very strong thematic stuff.
Yeah.
But he's also designed some of the most themeless games I've ever played in my life. I believe he uses theme. He takes it out of one game and sticks it in another.
You mean like he doesn't put it in every game? He only
he puts
saves
200% in one game, so he had to suck out 100% from another game.
Did he design? Is he the designer of Assault of the Giants?
Yes. Oh, I think he is. But his first game was Canterbury, which, oh my word, was that dry as all get out. Then he did Dungeon Alliance here. This is his own company, but he also did the trading card game based on Nightmare Before Christmas.
Oh,
yeah, that's old, man. I mean, that's really old.
Sure, but that was a thematic trading card game.
It was, sure.
So apparently there is a solo version of the deck building game. So he has the deck building game back, and you can play it as solo. But this other game is a very different one.
Right.
I mean, is it still a deck building game? That's the question.
I thought it was a worker placement.
Don't think so.
So this is using the theme.
Yeah, and the theme was already kind of...
That's confusing then, because I thought this was like a standalone expansion to Core Worlds.
Yeah. I agree. I think Core Worlds, I like Core Worlds a lot. I think it's a really fun game. This kind of dilutes that name. Although, again, for a lot of people, they never played Core Worlds, so maybe it's not a big deal.
Sure.
My biggest concern with this one is this. If this is the graphic design...
I do not like the graphic design at all.
This is not good graphic design.
No, it's very busy. Very busy.
But that could be a prototype, so it's hard to tell.
Yeah. I mean, I like Andrew Parks' stuff. I do. I think he's a very, very sharp designer. I think his philosophy of design, it doesn't necessarily align with what I tend to like in a lot of games, which is he's a guy who puts everything in the kitchen sink in a lot of his games. Okay, that's just the way he tackles stuff. But so I like him a lot, like his ideas. But I don't know if I'm really necessarily a fan of Quixotic games, and this doesn't do anything to sway me one way or the other. So
well, he quoted me here. Apparently, one of my pithy quotes. I like it a lot.
This is from the deck building game Core Worlds, which is a good deck building game. Again, very Andrew Parksy, very complex, lots going on, tons of little math. I mean, like tons of it. But it's a good game. This looks, I don't know. I'm worried about the identity. Like you said, this is not really related, but people might be confused by that. I don't know.
All righty. So now we're at the last board game of the day. Another $100,000 project. This is a big project. Almost 5,000 backers.
Wow.
How do you say this? Maquis?
That's how I've said it. I don't know if that's... It's Death Circle, Tom.
So this is a second edition of a game.
Yes. I've played Maquis. I'm going to call it. I'll go with that. It's a solitaire game. It's a small box game. It's clever. It's one that feels almost like it's very much a puzzle game, right? It's very, very puzzly. It looks like what they're adding to this is some kind of different tokens that change up the gameplay a little bit. That was the only kind of concern I had with the game, is I felt like maybe it would be a little samey after a while, but it looks like they've kind of addressed that here. It's very highly regarded in the solo community. Side Room Games is highly regarded. They also did Black Sonata, which you can see there.
I don't think I've played any of their games.
Yeah,
Black Sonata is their gamer though, right?
Well, yeah, but I haven't played this Fallen Angels or Element of the Gods either.
Yeah, obviously it's doing well. 100,000 for a small box game like that. That's pretty impressive.
And I gotta say here, it must be based on how good the game is, because coming from someone who hasn't played the original game, I don't think this looks that great. It looks okay.
Yeah. I like the look of this game. I disagree. I think this has an identity. I think this looks good. I think it looks better than you're saying. Like, it does not look average to me. This looks better than average.
I would say it looks better.
I don't know what average is anymore, but all right.
Well,
it looks better on the table, I think.
I'll give you an example, Tom. Oh, no, I shouldn't.
I was getting a take Z's mean mode. Give me that example. Alrighty. Let's jump to, we got only a couple non-Kickstarter gaming projects. Folks, if you want to send me a weird project, send it to me at tom@dicetower.com. But we got a watch here. This watch is making $170,000. The Soloscope II Watch. Mm-hmm. The squarest watch you'll ever see.
Could not be more square.
I'm a watch fan. I am. I love watches. I've always worn one. I think the least I've worn a watch is actually being in quarantine, because it's been really weird. I've gotten used to actually not having one. But I'm not sure what the pitch is here. I feel like I have to relearn how to read a watch to understand what they're selling me on.
What? Yeah. I mean, it's like a hipster watch. Like, if you show me this and you're like, well, you can't read it, but I can. Like, well, can I just have a digital watch then? I mean,
I'm confused. They keep talking about a one-handed watch. I'm like, isn't that all watches? I'm so confused.
That's how I walk around. Z. What time is it?
Yeah, I have a watch that's also handcuffed. Yeah.
I will tell you, I also like watches, Z. I agree very much that this is a hipster watch. I also have to admit that I kind of dig it. My biggest beef with it is not that it's hard to read, because I don't really think it's just different. I think it's too big. That's just, to me, I just fundamentally don't like wearing watches that large. But I kind of like it.
But hold on, Mike. No, it's kind of hard to read, man. I mean, what time is that watch right there?
Yeah, right here. What time is it?
It's 7:45.
7:45. What?
Yeah, look at the little 7 on. We're looking at the right side. See the little 7 there, and then go to the right of that. It's 45, and then the seconds are at the top.
No, that 45 never moves.
Are you sure? I'm confused, guys.
Go back
Maybe
up.
not.
Go back up,
Maybe
Tom.
Not.
Look, the 45 is always there, you dork.
Oh.
You don't know how to read this.
No, they're all set to the same time, Z, so it's not really
all set to the same time, Z.
No, they're not. That one looks different.
7:45.
That never moves. The little spherical moon-looking things rotate.
I'm confused.
You don't know how to read this watch. I'm telling you. And plus, they're like, you can read the hours over here, where that 7/8 is, or you can read the hours over here on the other side. And I'm like, why?
No, you cannot. You cannot read that middle ring. That's crazy.
Well, it's because it's blurred.
I think that's the time. I think it's 8:21:45 seconds.
Oh, is that what you think? Could be.
Guys, the 45 does not. We're done talking about this. No, pass. It's also really expensive. I'll just get an Apple Watch.
You're right. For all this work, I'm like, yep, Apple Watch.
It's big. Too big. I just think it's kind of cool looking.
It looks cool.
Okay, someone said this because I think we made a joke about there's no sock Kickstarters. So apparently there is a sock Kickstarter. What's special about
Now I ask, why? There is a sock Kickstarter, but the question is why? I kept waiting for something. They're socks.
Yeah, I felt the same way, Tom. When I finally was done with this, I was like, oh, I guess we jumped the shark. Like, what? Why are we featuring socks that are made from wool, which, clothing is made from, and they are compression socks, which there are such things. I kept waiting for it to be like, and it charges your phone. I'm like, okay. No, they're just socks.
Sorry. Okay, that was
made from real sheep.
All righty. By the way, Mr. Dreadful and Mom Gamer, thank you for your super chats. We appreciate it. All right, time for pick of the week. Let's go to Dan's unsurprising pick.
Dan's?
Did I say Dan? I meant Mike.
Sure did.
Freudian.
Yes. You might as well call me Dan because I am, of course, going to be picking CoraQuest. There's no question. And I will say this. Yes, putting it out there, Dan is a personal friend of mine. Cora is delightful. But I've played this game. I've played it multiple times. It's a really, really solid entry level for family dungeon crawl game. There really is a great game here. There's a huge amount of variety that you can incorporate into it. It's a special project. There's nothing about this that I would not recommend. I love CoraQuest, and I'm happy to give it my pick of the week.
All right, Z, what about you?
I'm going with that the reworking of Capo de Copy with the Mob Big Apple game. I think it's a really good looking page. It looks like they're taking a 2-player game and elevating it as much as they can, reworking it. Steve Finn is a good designer. I'm curious to see how this is going to feel if I'm going to, have a different appreciation than I did from the first one. Like I said, I did not dislike the first one, but I wasn't necessarily wowed by it, but it didn't look like this. So we'll see.
All right, and mine is going to be the Cryptid game. I really like Cryptid Café. I know that you guys said it doesn't look like much of a game, like a simple game, but I don't care. That's the kind of game that I'm glad to see these are being made, not just those humongous games. Yeah. I like the theme. I like the monsters. Like we said, it looks like a kids' table board game, and I like their games.
It looks great.
Yeah, and I think this is one that if I get this, my kids will be on board. They'll really enjoy it with me.
Yep.
All right, so I asked the people on YouTube which game they were most looking forward to. I picked the 5 biggest projects. What do you think they picked?
CoraQuest.
CoraQuest for me too, I think.
Yeah, CoraQuest gets the people's choice. It was not even close. 44% out of 1,000 people picked CoraQuest. Second was Human Punishment, then Cryptid Café, then Core Worlds, then Posthuman Saga. I just picked the ones that are the biggest money-making usually.
Sure.
So
nice.
Alrighty, folks. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. Found some good projects that you can check out. Back all these different folks. And even if we said it was terrible and you think it's fantastic, let us know. Tell us, hey, I got this game and it was amazing, even though Z said he couldn't read the dice.
Yeah. What do I know about reading or dice?
You don't know how to read a watch, I can tell you that.
That's correct.
I don't think I know how to read that watch.
45 doesn't move.
The 45 doesn't move. Thanks, George. All righty. Well, until next time, I'm Tom Vessel.
I'm Z Garcia. Thank you.
I'm Mike Delisio.
Have fun wearing socks.